Dr. Wan Rizal.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the budget. The past 2 years have been like a roller coaster ride in the dark. We do not know where the twists and turns are, but we have together, shoulder to shoulder, ridden over one peak after another. And it seems like we are now in the midst of another one. Now, this has never been a fun ride, especially for our frontliners. To Team MOH and the healthcare workers who are once again called out to the fore, thank you, and I salute you for valiantly keeping our country going. Not forgetting my fellow educators who face students every day to provide normalcy amidst a dynamic landscape. Alongside our public service officers, our healthcare workers and our educators have taken up multiple, varied and new roles which underlies their unwavering commitment. I am grateful as they give us the much needed confidence to see the light at the end of this dark roller coaster ride. I urge that we continue to provide our public service officers, especially our healthcare workers and educators, with the best support and work-life balance possible. Firstly, I ask that their workload and work scope be reviewed. How many hats can one person wear to remain effective? Perhaps it's also time that we set clear guidelines on work hours, introduce timeouts, and enforce the time for disconnect. Replying to non-urgent emails can wait, but our families cannot. We must also continue to create and upgrade channels for communication between staff, and this does not include the biannual staff appraisal. I'm also aware of the abuse they face and the pressures of work from their stakeholders, and we should do more to create practical ways to allow them to come forth and be provided with the necessary support and protection. Mr. Speaker, while the fight against COVID-19 is far from over, we are in a better position to chart a new way forward together. I support the Finance Minister's call to renew and strengthen our social compact. It resonates strongly with me, and I will touch on two areas: education and mental health. Mr. Speaker, I'm a firm believer in lifelong learning. To sustain something lifelong requires us to acknowledge that one may be susceptible to physical and mental burnouts. In my previous speeches, I mentioned that one way to mitigate this is to provide opportunities, or rather phases, for individuals to discover, rediscover, and reinvent themselves. I will cover two of them today, although all three are aptly represented in this year's budget announcement. The first phase, discover, begins from early childhood. Within this phase, we must provide our children with the opportunities to discover their strengths and interests. Opportunities for deliberate play and exploration will allow children to pick up social interaction and problem-solving skills beyond what books can offer. Therefore, I welcome the announcement that we'll be investing more in our children to scale up the Kids Start program nationwide and expand into a nationwide uplift community network to support more children in disadvantaged families. However, I hope that we can also create programs for those in the middle class in the future, especially those who may be struggling or facing sudden change in their situation. As shown through the pandemic, being on a balance means that someone can be tipped over fairly easily. Nevertheless, the move for an enhanced Kids Start and upskilled uplift program underlines our strong commitment to tackle inequality at the earliest juncture possible and ensures that every child is given the opportunity to discover the joy of exploration and play, and importantly, stand a fighting chance when they enter primary school. Mr. Speaker, when I recall my primary and secondary school experience, it was all about the PSLE, the N, and the O levels. I understand the need to hold these major exams, but I think we can do fewer exams in between. If we are serious about redefining success, then it can start by redefining what exams mean. I urge this call in unison for a whole society approach to change the mindsets on education from daily school issues to major examinations and how we perceive success and learning as a whole. It's time to change this assessment of learning culture to a journey of learning. We must create a culture of appreciating the joy of learning and the challenges such a journey presents. Be it easy or difficult, whether we get success or failure, and accepting that there are multiple paths to achieve success. Now, in removing the minor exams, we can nurture an optimal lifelong learning concept, and this in turn, and hopefully, result in a better mental health environment. Sir, the second phase, Rediscover, is at the polytechnic or university stage. We have done well to create multiple pathways. There are now numerous courses a student can enroll in that matches their interests. However, one lesson we learned from the pandemic was the inability of some of our fresh graduates to be agile in a volatile job environment. This is not their fault. Who could have predicted that certain sectors can be so affected by the pandemic? In my previous speeches, I emphasized the need to give our graduates broad skills that can be generalized across other disciplines. This will put them in a better footing and give them the confidence to apply their skills across other sectors. I would now go a step further and ask if we could allow greater flexibility to allow students to choose modules outside their main course and pursue side interests. I could be a sports scientist with a good foundation in entrepreneurship, or an engineer with a graphic design skills. Now, inevitably, time is a factor. Polytechnic students, for example, have 3 years to complete their course. Perhaps it's time to review if a slightly longer duration would allow students to develop better, to get that much needed time and space to equip themselves and pursue these interests. Mr. Speaker, many PAP MPs, past and present, have touched on the importance of mental health and support. In my previous adjournment motions, I highlighted several suggestions to destigmatize mental health. These include a push for mental health and social media literacy in schools and workplaces, improving accessibility at community touchpoints, providing regular mental health screening, and introducing timeouts for individuals to recharge, reorganize, and come back stronger to school or work. I also called for the government to expand our mental health care infrastructure, expand community support network, and to make mental health care and support affordable. Beyond Parliament, with support from other PAP MPs as well as the young PAP, we drove the 4522 Too Many campaign and conducted dialogues to bring community partners like Total Wellness Initiative, It All Starts Here.sg, IMH, the Muslim healthcare professional, and many more, as well as volunteers and residents together. Within my constituency, we have also organized workshops for grassroots leaders so that they can better support our residents. That's why I'm very happy to hear our Finance Minister laying out broad plans to enhance and integrate mental health and social services in the community. The setting up of the Interagency Task Force shows that the government is committed to taking action towards mental health stigmatization and supporting the needs of Singaporeans. In November last year, MOH published its National Population Health Survey and found that younger adults aged between 18 and 29 had the highest proportion of poor mental health for about 21.5%. Therefore, I call on the task force to expand outreach and support for this particular group and hope that with the rising numbers as a whole, we can also increase the number of psychiatric services that we made available. Mr. Speaker, while the government can enact policies and guidelines, it does not have the monopoly of solutions to make Singapore a caring and inclusive nation. We need all hands on deck. Here I would like to call upon three groups to play their part. The first, employers. I spoke previously about the need to be more compassionate to our workers and provide them with periods to recharge. Therefore, I urge employees once again to review their mental wellness programs, encourage regular health screening, both physical and mental, and consider using timeouts. Like some say, a happy employee is a productive employee, but most importantly, an even happier employer. Secondly, is family and friends. While I am grateful that our mental health infrastructure is robust and sound, it is sad that many of us are still not stepping forward to receive help. Stigmatization remains a pertinent issue. Mental health issues are varied in nature. Some are obvious, others are silent and almost unnoticeable. It would be unwise for one to generalize. Therefore, a strong support system of family and friends play a key role in helping our loved ones. Thus, the need for mental health literacy for everyone remains important to eradicate stigmatization and create a more caring support system. Thirdly, is our community. With Singapore having one of the highest internet penetration rates globally, almost every adult and youth are connected to the internet and social media. Cyberbullying, the woke culture, and online shaming are becoming more rampant and have a detrimental effect on the mental health of those affected. Therefore, it starts with us, not the government alone, or social media platforms. It begins with us, the community, to set a good online and offline code of conduct to create a more caring and inclusive home for all of us. Mr. Speaker, in Malay, please. Saya gembira mendengar belanjawan yang prihatin dan inklusif yang disampaikan oleh Menteri Keuangan. Saya sokong seruan beliau untuk memperbaharui dan mengukuhkan kompak sosial kita. Di dalam ucapan bahasa Inggeris tadi, saya telah menyentuh tentang 3 isu. Pertama, sokongan yang menyeluruh untuk para pekerja. Kedua, pendidikan. Dan ketiga, kesihatan mental. Izinkan saya meringkaskan. Pertama, saya menggesa agar kita memberi sokongan yang lebih menyeluruh untuk para pekerja, terutama sekali pekerja sektor penjagaan kesihatan dan guru-guru. Saya mengalu-alukan agar pihak pemerintah dan para majikan menyimak beban dan skop kerja mereka untuk memastikan keseimbangan kerja dan kehidupan yang berkualiti. Di antaranya adalah untuk menetapkan garis panduan yang jelas tentang waktu kerja dan memperkenalkan timeouts atau waktu rehat untuk para pekerja kembali lebih kuat ke tempat kerja mereka. Bagi pendidikan pula, saya mengalu-alukan pengumuman untuk meningkatkan program Kickstart dan Uplift. Ia menzahirkan komitmen yang kuat untuk memerangi ketidaksamaan seawal mungkin dan memastikan agar setiap kanak-kanak diberi peluang untuk memenuhi potensi mereka. Di dalam ucapan-ucapan saya di Parlimen sebelum ini, saya telah giat mempertengahkan beberapa cadangan untuk menangkis stigma dan meningkatkan sokongan bagi kesihatan mental. Di luar Parlimen, saya dan anggota Parlimen PAP yang lain telah menganjurkan kempen-kempen di sosial media dan sesi-sesi perbincangan untuk meningkatkan kesedaran tentang kesihatan mental. Maka dengan itu, saya gembira apabila mendengar Menteri membentangkan rancangan untuk meluas untuk mempertingkatkan sokongan bagi kesihatan mental. Penubuhan pasukan khas antara agensi menunjukkan bahawa pemerintah prihatin untuk mengambil tindakan terhadap stigma kesihatan mental dan menyokong keperluan rakyat Singapura. Saya menyeru kepada para majikan serta semua lapisan masyarakat untuk bersama berganding bahu untuk menyertai kami dalam usaha ini. Bersatu kita teguh, bercerai kita roboh, yang berat sama dipikul, yang ringan dijinjing sama. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I can only say that change is the only constant, and if we, as Singaporeans, are committed to creating a caring and inclusive Singapore for our generation and the generations ahead, we need to continue to take decisive actions and remain agile in the dynamic, volatile landscape. With the government reiterating its commitment and the community stepping forward to co-create these solutions, I am confident. I am confident that we can be the shining light for other countries to emulate as we chart a new way forward for Singapore together. Mr. Speaker, I support the budget.